Sheila, we're here today on the grounds of the Fox Park, and this has been a great project that our community has benefited from. I want to talk to you about that because your parents were instrumental in us getting this here. So tell us a little bit about the lay of the land here and how it all started.
Well, a lot of it, kind of as we were discussing earlier, I'm really not for sure. I'll just be honest. I know there's somewhere about 7-8 acres in this area, and that my mom and dad, when we moved back here in the mid-'80s, built the new post office here. And then when the funding became available, they approached Dad and Mom and asked them, said, would you be interested in leasing an acre? And so in return, that we could get the park for the community to use, because the old park was just beginning to show its age. And so they talked about it and agreed at that point that they would lease the 1 acre for 25 years for $1. And so that's kind of where everything began from there, and then we were able to get the funds. And I think you have some more information with Roger Rory was instrumental with that too, our state representative.
After your parents, let's give their names.
Okay, yeah, Mom, Judy and Eldon Broyles, we were, they originally from this area, Dad was. So once he retired from Armco Steel and moved back to the area, they were able to find the land as a way to give back to the community.
Right. So having that 1 acre of land leased to us on a long-term lease enabled us to apply for a fun park grant from the state of Arkansas, and we did that. And as I recall, we got about $15,000 to construct. We purchased the equipment that's here, built the basketball court. What else did we do?
I think that was the original part of that.
1 acre.
And then that was, like you said, Renee, a part of that fun park grant that the state had at the time. And then later, I'm not for sure exactly what the time period was on that, but the additional 5 acres was actually purchased from Mom and Dad at that time, in which the new ball field was constructed, the pavilion, and all of that. Then in 2000 is when my mom actually passed away, and Mom and Dad had talked a little bit before that about this 1 acre here. As we got further and further into the lease, what they actually wanted to do with that. And so then in about 2003, Dad approached myself and my sisters and said, I really think it's going to be in our best interest just to go ahead and donate that whole acre to the Fox community. And at that point, that's exactly what he did.
Okay, and it was sometime just a few years after we did the Fox Fun Park here. Roger Rory was our state rep and lived right here in Fox, and he let me know that there was funding available through State Parks and Recreation. I think it's Outdoor Parks and Recreation, to apply for money to build the larger park with the baseball diamond.
Right.
I think the walking trail may have come later.
That was actually a separate grant as well.
When the walking trail was built, my mother was remembering how by that time my dad was retired from school, and Al Schieffer was retired, and it was being done during the summer, just a really hot time of the year. And she said they would come up here and just work like slaves on that walking trail to get it ready. They had to put some plastic down or something to prepare the ground for it.
Well, and for a long time it was just chat gravel is all the trail was. And so we have a lot of people in the area that are handicapped of some nature, and so we simply needed something that was more accessible for them, whether that be that they're using a walker or they're in a wheelchair, something along that lines. And so we were able, Margaret Morrison was instrumental in helping us find a grant for that, and so she actually is the one that applied for us for that and was able to get the funds to actually come in and pave it and make it completely handicap accessible then. So a lot of this has been done through grants, but also a lot of it wouldn't have happened without all the volunteers and the community members, because they've just simply been instrumental. The Fox Community Services Board plays a huge part in that, as they're the ones actually responsible for maintenance and upkeep of the park.
Right, and you all on that committee, this is actually county-owned property since Fox is not incorporated.
Correct.
So you all report to the county judge and the quorum court and get just a small amount of budget.
That's right.
Annually from them.
That's right. back in the 90s, I was actually not a part of that committee, but several people, I believe yourself, was actually on that. And over the years, it's kind of grown. We have somewhere between 7 and 10 people that are members. They volunteer to be on the board each year. We are fortunate that we have 2 older gentlemen that are responsible for the upkeep of the park itself and for the Fox Community Service Center up there. And what that does is, used to, the project was called Green Thumb. That was where that funding actually came from. But now it's changed and it's called Experience Works. And to qualify for that, they have to be at least 55 years old and low to moderate income. And so we've been very fortunate that we've had some great workers that have come through. They're responsible for all the mowing and weed eating and just any general upkeep. They've built, added some additions onto the pavilion. They've actually done the canopies over the bleachers.
Yes,
that's just a recent addition. That's right. So they do a great job keeping the park up and also keeping the community center open.
And if we could get a few shots of how well this area is maintained, if you can pick up the camera and move it around. I found out something very interesting about the Green Thumb workers that became Experience Works, and we're benefiting from their maintenance here of the property. But in the 60s, the Green Thumb project started in Arkansas, and Willie Morrison, who lives here on Fox Mountain, was instrumental in getting that started.
Okay.
And they actually, Willie and some other guys testified to a special committee, a committee on aging, the U.S. Senate.
Right.
And I found minutes on that. So it's really interesting that someone who was born and raised here in Fox actually helped start that Green Thumb program, and years later we're benefiting from it right here.
Exactly. And like I said, it's a great program because it saves us from having to hire somebody to do all of these different things. They have a supervisor that comes out and meets with our community leader. Scotty Branscombe is actually what we would call our community leader for the Fox Community Services Board. Good job!
But it does take 2 months. And we've done it on golf.
Well, my friends back home think I done lost my mind. Take a sip of rum and you
Well, we're fortunate to have the Fox Park.
Well,
for
I'm
the
glad that
children
I can
especially.
be, a part of it. I'm very proud of what my mom and dad did with the donation. And like I said, not just them, but the Fox community as a whole came out to help in any way they can, whether that's fundraisers today or, different projects that we still need to have done.